So we have managed to make it this far to the very end, session 8 of the program. So just for you to have a review and a look back of all the steps and sessions that you've been going through till this step. We are here on week 4 for session 8, Fundamentals of Modern Training. We went through some core UiPath training with Studio and Orchestrator. Then we went into AI Center, into document understanding, overview, and demos. Then we went for the Gen AI experience in document understanding, further into communications mining, and here we are today with the model training. So you are now very well fundamented into AI. Today will be a session which is very AI prone. And for the past 3 weeks, like starting with week 2, we started the AI segment of the series. We hope it was really helpful in this sense, and that most of you are very engaged and enthusiastic into completing the Academy Learning Plan for Specialized AI Associate. And for that, I would like to present you with the next stage of our program, because as you could see here in our timeline, this is practically where we end our live training. So this the last session is today. Starting tomorrow onwards, we will go into this next phase of the Academy Learning Plan completion. So till November 15th, you have another 2 weeks in order to complete the Specialized AI Associate training in Academy. Whenever you have doubts, go back to the series page. You will find all the links necessary here, but I'm pretty sure all of you already know where to find this learning plan in Academy in order to complete it by November 15th. After November 15th, we will go into the next phase, which means that all of those who have completed the learning plan in Academy will receive a verification test link from our certification team. This will not be anything similar to a certification exam. It will be a simple quiz in order to assess your learnings from the Academy module and these live training sessions. Again, there will be nothing very new in between the two. All the training sessions were built on the UiPath Academy curricula, and that is also what the quiz will be based on. So if you have successfully completed the UiPath Academy learning plan, you should have no problem completing the quiz. Based on the results of this verification test, you will be awarded the free certification voucher from UiPath certification team. Those who earn in between 50 and 70% will get a 50% off voucher. Those who earn in between 70 and 100% on the verification test will earn a 100% free certification voucher. So you will find this here, all the information as well. Any further questions you might have, please use the dedicated UiPath forum thread. My colleagues will put it in the chat for you. And also, again, maybe the link to the series. The next very important thing, which I would like all of you to know about, and I think most of you already received it by email, I will update the series page as well today, is that for the next stage, for you moving onwards into Academy plan completion and going into the stage for certification, you will need to register and complete this form, which we have here. I will put the link for this form currently in the chat, and I will share it again a few times and also at the end of the session. This is very important for you to complete as soon as you can, showing your intention. The form will be open until November 15th, actually 17th, but 15th will be the deadline for Academy. So please do complete this form if you plan on moving onwards to certification. This will help us do the cross-checks necessary in order to enable you with the verification test and with the certification voucher. So this is the information that we must get in order to be able to enable you with those tools. Sometimes some of you have a different registration user for the community platform and a different account for Academy. So this will solve that problem too. and you can let us know in form if there are any other problems. But for now, please take the link to the form from chat and keep it handy. So in the next few days, maybe when you have time, you complete the form if your intention is to move into the next stage and get certified. And I truly hope it is, because after so much effort from you, all of your colleagues and our mentors, I think it's like high time to get certified, and there's no better moment than end of this year, beginning of the next. With this, I will conclude here, and I will pass it over to Krishna to start the session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Christina. And hello all. I'll share my screen first. Can you see my share?
Yes.
So first of all, welcome to the session on fundamentals of model training and communications mining. Yesterday, I think 2 days back, we had a basic session of communications mining by Pradeep. Hope you all attended that. And in today's session, we'll explore how to train ML models specifically for communications mining. And myself, Mudhukrishna, I have over 6 years of experience in tech industry, and I started my journey as a software intern in Indian Space Research Organization, and later I become a tech lead at ILNT Technology Services. I also been recognized as UiPath MVP in both 2022 and 2024, and I was runner-up with Srini in AI at Work Hackathon happened in UiPath Bangalore. And I also have a gold badge in Python from HackerRank. Additionally, I also have a YouTube channel. If you are interested in can join this, I'll be sharing knowledge about UiPath and automation. Srini, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. I am Srinivas, currently working as a senior tech lead at ProSoftware. I was an UiPath MVP for 3 years and have participated in UiPath hackathons. Previous year, HyperHack 2023 was conducted by UiPath. My team was secured the second place, and and again I participated in another hackathon with Mudhu Krishna. So at that time we are runner up. That's all for my side. Continue, Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Srini. So this will be the agenda for today. We'll see what exactly communications mining means, and we'll see a deployment overview first. And then there are some elements of communications mining, like dashboard elements, and then some key concepts. So we'll see what exactly they mean. And then we see what is model training is, and then what exactly happens when model gets trained. And then we have generative AI also included in communications mining for extraction. We'll see what exactly that means. And then the complete model training process. And at the end, we'll see how what some of the best practices to label and to label the messages, and then for the fields. This will be the complete agenda for today. Then let's start with how it works. Before starting with directly the deployment overview, let's see what is communications mining is. Communications mining, as the name suggests, it is mining of useful information from whole bunch of data. So it is all about understanding and getting useful insights from communication data. Like it can be an email or it can be a message, something like that. So assume we have a huge email box, and then extracting some needed information from that entire mailbox is nothing but communications mining, in simple words. It also involves turning this unstructured data into organized and machine readable format, which can further will be used for analysis, or if there are some common patterns, then you can use that for automation as well. So this is an overview of what communications mining is. Next, deployment overview. So how exactly the deployment happens in communications mining? So it all starts with ingest and store. Firstly, we have to ingest a database. Assume it as like a database, and that database can be your email server or chat server or CRM or CMS. sources. So you ingest that to communications mining. You parse and comprehend what exactly happens here. It uses deep learning to analyze the sentiments, to extract sentiments from the dumped messages. Like you will have whole bunch. So from that, to extract the meaningful messages, it will use deep learning to extract for that extraction. And then it also uses unsupervised learning, and so these three stages are common. So once these three stages complete, will start with discover and train. So we subject matter expert of that particular of that particular data will be part of this discover and train. So he will train the communications mining model, and then once this training is completed, we'll have we if once we have a good score, then the next stage will be report and analysis. We'll have a detailed report. We'll see all this in demo. So these are just as this is just to have an overview of how deployment looks like. So we'll have reports, and then from that reports we can analyze, and then we can create streams. So streams are nothing but automation triggers. So we create that, and then from that we'll deploy the automation. So this will be the complete deployment overview. So now let's understand with a simple example. So assume you are underwriter agent for an insurance company. So this, and so you receive email requests every day, and then you have to open each email, and then you have to study that reviews. Then you have to determine each message. You have to identify what this message about, and then based on the message intent or concept, you have to forward that message to appropriate team, and that appropriate team's SME, nothing but subject matter expert, will receive that email. He'll open and he'll review the content, and then he'll respond to the customer, and then updates in the customer file. Let's assume this is one of the biggest task for you if you are underwriter agent for an insurance company. To break it down to more clearly, like in general, like in regular office scenarios, assume we have a SAP support team. So whenever we have whenever a user have an issue with SAP, let's say he has to reset his password. So what he will do, he'll send an email to SAP support team, and then SAP support team has to check the email and then identify what is his needs, and then he has to check like, okay, this is for password reset, and then forward that to password reset team. They'll reset the password, and then they'll send the new password to you, and then you have to send it back to the business user if you are SAP support agent. So this entire communication is like, assume this is like a 3 days. 3 days. It'll take 3 days to process, and this will be like 100% human effort. And then of course she's very sad doing that. And next, like what is the solution for this problem? How can you avoid? How can you don't if you don't want to do all this? What will be the solution? So that's where communications mining comes into the picture. So you what do you do? We'll for example, everything happens in email box, right? So this email box will be your data set, like your data source. You connect this data source. You connect this data source to communications mining, and then subject matter expert will be available in communications mining. So he will initially he will train each of the message, like this message belongs to SAP password reset request, this message related to something else. So like that, he'll label each of the message, and then once it gets into a proper, like once it gets enough training data, then whenever there is a new message, it will automatically identify, the communications model will automatically identify that message as a SAP support request, and then it will automatically move that email to respective team, and then it will start the automation. So that's what communications mining does. It will eliminate all human effort. Once you train model like good enough, like confident enough, then everything will run. Like that will be an end-to-end automation. Nowhere human will be involved. Only place where human involved in such cases, like where we might have to include, for example, this for if it is like an invoice or something where dollar values are included. At that time, you, instead of directly sending that email to end user, you will send that as an action item to the responsible SME, and then he'll confirm, and he will send the final email to the user. So only there human will be involved. Rest of the places it will be completely automated, and that's where she becomes happy. So this is like a simple example of how communications mining is used. We will see this in demo. Next, I was talking about when I was explaining communications mining, I was talking about labels, I was talking about fields, and then intents, something like that, right? So these are the main concepts that we need when you understand, when you try to understand about communications mining. So firstly, you have to design your taxonomy. So taxonomy in simple words, you have SAP database, for example, which is having all SAP related messages. So there you have to identify the concept of the message, right? So all these whatever you need, whatever data you need from this database, that data has to be first labeled. So and that will have, like, assume that is as a taxonomy, and then in that taxonomy you have to add labels, fields, metadata, example, to do the next operations. So firstly, labels are nothing but the entire concept of that message. And also themes, for example, if you receive an email to change address, then label of that message will be change of address request. So these are the label will be a theme or intent of that message. And then fields, so inside that message you'll have policy numbers, or if it is SAP ticket, then you'll have SAP username and then old password, something like that. So these are called fields. The structured data points of that message are called fields. And um, the metadata, like structural information, email properties, user properties, and attachment properties, date, time, last modified. So all these properties related information is called metadata. And this entire thing we'll do upon a message, right? So that message is called, I mean, that entire single unit is called message. Previously, we used to call that as verbatim, and now we call it as message. So in this Venn diagram, you can see like some of the similarities of what label is and what field is, and what is common between those two. Let's see the common ones. So they both can be pre-trained or trained from scratch. Like as I told before, once you ingest your database, you have to first train that from scratch. So both labels have to be trained, also fields have to be trained. Uh, it might be confusing now. I'll explain this clearly when I'm explaining in demo. And pre-trained fields and labels are predicted as soon as they're enabled. So once you once you label few messages, and then once you mention few field extractions using generative AI, it will automatically identify the labels for remaining messages. That also we'll see. And then so after this, once you train, I told you, right? So generative extraction will automatically label few in the backend, and you will see those generative extraction labels. You can just accept or reject. So these accept and rejections also happens for both labels and fields. So these are some of the common ones, and then both are used for analytics and then triaging and automation. It's about labels, fields, and metadata. So let's understand what labels, fields, with a simple example. So assume this is a message. So this is a verbatim. So now we call that as a message. Within this, firstly, so this is without a label predicted. So this is a plain message how you receive from a user. From this, first thing we have to, in general, we have to train, but after a certain level of training, model itself will identify that. So how will it, like what exactly a label means? So this is by studying this message, we can uh, identify like what is the intent of this message. So this is related to a policy, so that will be a label. And then under policy, it is related to amendment. And then under amendment, if it is related to address change, then that will be that entire thing will be a label. So this is like a example without any fields. Like this XYZ is a field, then label is unpredicted. So now this, if you can see here, this will be a live example. So this is an actual message. So from this, if you have to label this, you have to identify by studying this message, you have to identify the content. So this will be related to policy, and this is related to amendment, and then user is requesting to change the address. So that will be your label. So this entire thing. So this greater than will be like a tree structure. So and policy, under amendment, this is related to address change. So I'll explain like what exactly we do with this label at the end. So these are labels, and then now next thing is fields. So there are two types of fields. First one is general field, and then second one is extraction field. As I mentioned before, fields are nothing but data points that we need that we extract from messages, right? So firstly, general fields. So whatever you do, whatever we extract from this message, for example, Doncaster 45 9AX. So everything that is not linked to a label, so those are called general fields. So those fields which are linked to label, these are called extraction fields. So for example, policy number. So this can be common for all the emails, not specific to this label. Policy number can, so if there is one more label like policy amendment name change, so for this also policy number will be common. So policy number, we can call it as like a general field. So extraction field, if policy number is linked to only this label, like address change label, then that label is called so that field is called extraction field. So that's the main difference between general field and extraction field. Like in simple words, if a particular field is linked to a label, so this is label. If field is linked to this label, then that we call it as extraction field. And then any other fields that are not related to label, that will be a general field. You might get this question in the certification. Next, let's understand a little bit more. Like for example, this is how it once you connect your database to communications mining. So this is how a message will look like. So each of the email message will have like a separate section, like this is a message and this is a next message. So it will be like that. So from this, the general fields, if you see here, so this number is not related to any label. So, so this number can be common for all the messages or all the verbatims. So that's why we identify this as general field. And then sender metadata. So you don't have to identify this. I mean, you don't have to identify specifically the email ID. That will come with message itself. So anything that is not entered by user, for example, if user is sending an email to a support team, so he'll be entering subject, body, and then like at the end he'll mention like thank you or something like that. These information, apart from this information, for example, the time when the email sent, and then the sender email. So all this information is called metadata, as I explained before. So here, sender email. So this is metadata, and then this May 22, if you see here. So this is also metadata. And then extraction fields, as I explained before, like with the definition. So this particular table is related to report statement of accounts. So this label. So all these fields that are related to this label, because these are related to this table, these are called as extraction fields. If you see here, like under general fields, so this will be general field. And then under this label, we have all this entire table. So we call them as extraction fields. One more example. So before communication starts the interpretation of the message, so this is how it looks. So it'll get the entire message, and then it'll identify the fields, and then it will leave as it is. So once after it extracted the relevant structured data, so this is how it looks. So it will identify the labels firstly. So by the content, it will identify like this is the chaser email, and then if it is like from if it is a change of address, then it will identify like admin change and change of address, and then it will show you like how confident it is, and you can mark it. Like I'll show you. So so once you train enough, next once it will show you like so as communications mining, it will identify like this is for change of address. You can confirm that, and then the confidence level increases, and it will also captures the entities. So from here, entities are policy number, and then date of previous contact, and then new address. So these are the entities. Next, model training. So I think so far I'm clear. I'm not fast. So model training, that means setting up and teaching the system to recognize specific labels and fields which can be applied to individual messages of a dataset. So like you'll have a dataset, and then you teach the model by so you have to be subject matter expert to teach the model. So who will train the model? So that will be subject matter expert. So for example, if you are the subject matter expert of SAP related data or data set, then you will be the trainer for that model. So you will identify each message, you will check the intent and concept of that each message, you will label them, you will mark the entity, mark the field. And how will it happen? So, but if you have to be familiar with the data, so that's how it happens. And model he'll play the key role in teaching communications mining, because however he teaches the communications mining, so the next actions will depend on this training. So this so model trainers will play very key role in communications mining. And what exactly happens there? So as I told, you'll annotate the verbatims, like you'll label the messages, you'll find the labels and entities. And if you have your taxonomy already, then you'll upload that entire taxonomy to communications mining, and then you'll just tag your tag your labels or entities from the message to your taxonomy.
Krishna, we have a request from the audience to slow a bit down
Yeah.
since they're very concentrated in following you. So just
Okay.
maybe if we could slow a bit down the pace. There are a lot of
Sure.
questions in the chat as well, so Shrini is taking care of them.
Okay. 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 Sorry. Model training. I'll just repeat this slide slowly. So model training will play very key role in communications mining. So what exactly happens here? So subject matter expert of particular data. Let's say you are the subject matter expert of SAP. So you will be the model trainer for that data. So you connect once the connection happened, once you connect your SAP data to communications mining, you will identify each message. You will identify content of that each message, and then you mark like this message is related to SAP password request change. This message is related to SAP T code. He requesting for some T code, so it's related to T code. So like that, you'll modify, you will label the message. So that's what model trainer does. And then you have to be that subject matter expert have to be very familiar with data, so that like he can properly identify the message and then label them. Because entire communications mining will be completely depend on how you train the model. So if you by mistake, if you train like all address changes messages to something else, then next prediction will happen according to your training. So model trainer will play a very crucial role in communications mining to understand the data and then to get the accurate insights. So he will play the crucial role. So I'll explain an overview of what happens in model training, and then Srini will go in depth. So firstly, as soon as the connection established from the message box or email box to communications mining, it will identify and then it will create clusters. Clusters are nothing but group of similar messages. So you'll have your mailbox, right? So in that, how many are related to SAP? How many are related to admins? How many are related to something else like ServiceNow? So it will, based on these groups, it will form clusters. Just make the trainer more. I mean, to make it to make a little bit easier for him, it will create clusters, so that like he can directly open the cluster and then label all at once. So that's what happens in train discover phase. And then shuffle, teach, low confidence. So this will be explore phase. I'll show these phases in communications mining's dashboard. So first dashboard you'll see will be discover, and then next will be explore. So here all messages that are from email box will be shuffled and then arranged in a manner, I mean, in a table structure. So you'll see one by one. So you will identify you'll identify each message, and then you will label them properly. If you have entities, you will hover the entity there. So that's what you do in explore phase. So that will be a continuous process. So you click on shuffle, and then you will get random messages. You'll label them. You identify the entities or fields, and then you click on shuffle. So this will be repeated process. And how, like, when do you stop? So whenever the confidence is good enough. So in the next phase, you will see the model rating. The model rating is nothing but, so whenever a new message comes, how good or how confident the model is to identify that new message. So that's what model rating means. So that model rating will improve when you train your model properly. So when your model rating is good, then you stop. Until and unless you'll keep on you'll shuffle and then you'll teach. So that's what happens in explore. And then at the end, refine. So you review the performance. So there will be a separate dashboard where communications mining will suggest you. So for example, um, if your model rating, your keep on training, but your model rating is not improving, so then it will give you suggestion like you have to identify the unique ones and then you have to label. So that clear message suggestions it will give. So that will it will review and then it will give. And by that you can increase the coverage and then that will be a good model. So these like overview tips of model training. And Srini, would you like to take over?
Yeah, thank you.
Or let me complete 2 more slides and then I'll give you.
Okay, fair enough.
So next one, what makes a model a good model? So as I previously mentioned, like if you train your model well and if it meets your business goals, then that will make the model good. So for example, you have to ask these questions like, does this model make correct predictions? Each label have a high average precision score or not? Does this model make predictions on most of the data in the data set? So by asking these questions like these, if your model can solve these questions, then that's what makes your model a good model. So if initially when you start with communications mining, it is always better to have huge quantity, like at least let's say like more than 5,000 or 10,000 mails, so that like initially if you make your model train well, then next whenever a new message comes and then the suggestions from the generative AI will be very accurate, and then that will make your model a good model. Next, generative extraction. So we have generative AI involved in communications mining as well. So this is added later. So what exactly happens here? So you will have, once you label a particular message, we have generative extraction feature in communications mining, which will understand. So for example, you label a particular message as address change, then based on your label and then based on that message, generative AI will automatically try to label the rest of the messages. So you label few, for example, if you have 100 messages, so you label 10 and then rest 90, it will try to label based on your first 10 trainings. So this extraction happens. And not only the labels, it will also extract the fields from the messages. So you firstly you mark few fields, right? So you from a message you mark the policy number, you mark the SAP username or something. These marks you do in initial training phase. On the next phase, when you train itself, in the background, generative AI will start, and then it will start predicting from. It will start predicting in the messages, and then it will give you like this whatever it identified. It will give you. It will show you that. It will also help in recognizing relationships, like as I told, like you mark one and then for the all related messages for the first one, it will try to recognize and then it will mark. So you can manually annotate them later, but it will give you the suggestion. And this will happens using generative AI LLMs in the backend. And then these at the end it will use to automate the requests. For example, whenever a message came for address change, so automation started. So in the whenever the next similar message comes, generative AI itself will identify that message and then it will start the automation. So it will help in automating also. Okay, Srini, would you like to take over?
Sure. You can turn off the
Share your
screen
screen.
here. I can share my screen. Yeah. Are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So, so we discussed till now, like how to make a good model. And so start with the model training, how we can do. So actually there are like 6 stages in the model training to make your own model. So first starting with taxonomy, we need to define all the labels and fields what we need. And next step is to have a setup, getting ready with your data set and checking the data set and everything. We need to create the data source. So that setup is much required in the setup phase. And after that, discover phase, where you label your clusters, making and discovering new intents from your data. And next stage is that to explore your within your data, that train the majority of the training data with your model needs. Yeah. And refined stage is nothing but like to understand your data and improve the model performance as well by giving more labels and those things. And at last, it is a maintenance, maintaining your model in the production. Yeah. Moving on. Second, it's not. Yeah. So the first stage is taxonomy. Taxonomy is nothing but like a collection of the labels and the fields what you have from the data set. Okay, and label taxonomy is nothing but like a summary of an intent or a concept within within a field. Yeah. So taxonomy looks like this. If you see, it is a hierarchy model where can someone clear this maybe? Yeah, sorry. So if you take a hotel, there will be some facilities as a high top category. And in this one, we have like a air conditioning, bar, lifts, and those things are the child labels. This is how the structure will be look like for the label structuring. And the label taxonomy should contain all your request types or processes or intents and concepts of your data. Yeah. So first you need to have a data structure which is like in a hierarchy model. It contains like 3 components. One is the data source, where you will collect a raw data, either from your mailbox or some survey conducted, or it might be a customer reviews of CSV files, right? And it should be CSV only, not an Excel files to upload. Yeah. And individual data sources can be have like maximum 10 data sets. Okay. Coming to the data sets, there are made up of like 1 to 20 data sources. We can merge to up to 20 data sources into one model, and you can create a training platform, understand the data in those sources as well. Yeah. And projects are nothing but the collection of like data sources and data sets within your within the platform. It's a collection of a data set and data source as well. So creating a new source is very important, and we need to have a source admin permission for that. Yeah. And we can navigate to in a short while. Krishna will show you the demo. At that time, you can relate this, where we need to go to sources. So there is a tab called sources, where we can have a new source as well, and select the relevant project name here. and give your API name as you wish, but that should not contain like extra spacing or anything. Instead of that, we can make it as a hyphen as a best practice. Yeah. Use the title and description. So we have a title and description to provide more information about your sources, but it is not a mandatory as of now, but it's recommended they are editable. Yeah. And sensitive properties, if any, we can avoid those. Yeah. And also we can set language and enable translation if the source contains like multi-language. And by creating a source, on clicking on the create source, it will create a source of that. So preparing your data set, and also we can check what are the criteria where the data quality can be compromised. Yeah. So the data set should be in a CSV format. Okay. Below are few, like you can see the few or few of the quality. It could impact your quality. Yeah. So if you have duplicate roles, the same data repeating for multiple times will be a quality and model performance as well. And mismatched headers, if you are aligning any headers wrongly to the data fields, at that time also we can see some impact. Yeah. And inconsistency data formatting. Like if we are going with US data format for in one data source, you need to follow those. If within the same, it can be a issue. It can be impacting again. So break in the words as well. Like if you see like the policy, there is a gap in the between the PO and LICY. Yeah. So it's better to make it in one word so that it will be labeled correctly. And some kind of errors might happen, and when we have deal with some CSV encodings. So better to avoid these kind of characters. Yeah. And blank messages, if we have found any blank messages also, it impacts on the quality of this model performance. So the next phase is that like discover phase, which is a very crucial one here. So, and a very first step as well, because here we have we have to like once you create your data set, at that time the automatic unsupervised learning will start and discover, try to make it into groups, so group the clustering the similar messages present in the, yeah. And also we have the bulk label functionality where you can quickly train that. And generative annotation, at the time of creating the data set itself, we have to enable the generative annotation at that where it will be predict and give the cluster suggestions with no training data as well. Yeah. So this is what the training phase look like. If you see here, you are seeing that the different clusters, and with the similar kind of messages, it is already made the clusters, okay, by unsupervised learning. Yeah. Okay. And when you go for guided versus unguided, there is a like one training mode where if you see here this guided one, you have to enable this so that it will be predict all these things without manually doing this. Okay, so we can get an estimate of labels and those other verbatims, etc. But if you turn off your guided, then you need to create your clusters and do all it is as a manual things. Okay. So explore phase. Next is the explore phase where the trainings are there, and this step is helps to improve the model overall understanding of your data. Also, this provides each label and your taxonomy with enough varied and assess their performance as well. Generative annotation can be used to generate label predictions. Yeah. Explore is a core phase where we provide bulk of training examples. Yeah. So most of the time we are spending here only, like by providing bulk training examples. Yeah. And if you see here, the AI is generated the predictions as it is labeled actually, and we can see the score as well here. So refine phase next is in this phase we how the model is performing, and we can tune those until we met our objectives. Yeah. So this is the first stage where we review the model rating and each of the performance factors as well. So it involves a few steps where we can review model rating, refine the label performance, increase of the coverage, improve balance, and improve field performance. Yeah. So review model rating is nothing but seeing where platform is giving the suggestions. Yeah. Giving the where the model performance issues with your model. Yeah. And label performance is nothing but any missing labels or any potential inconsistencies in labeling. Yeah. And the increase in coverage, this step is much of your data set is covered by meaningful label predictions or not. We can test with this step. Yeah. And improving the balance. This is like labeling bias. We can say like we can and increase the reliability of predictions made. Okay. And field performance. This includes using the check field and missed field training modes as well. So this is what the dashboard look like once your model is trained, and you can see whether the model rating is 90% or lower. Based upon that, you can retrain your model. And this is the dashboard, what you see, whether it is poor or good or excellent. Yeah. So first, the best practices for labeling is that like don't split the words, because it has to be entire word in a question, not just part of that. So if you have any kind of information like example bank, yeah, it should be entire. It should selected entire thing, and make sure that while you are selecting, you are not making any additional spaces or yeah. And best practices in the labels and fields. So general fields are reviewed at a paragraph level, not the entire message level. Yeah. And we must review all the fields in the paragraph. Okay. Extension fields is nothing but reviewed at a message level, and this means entire message for the fields. We must review all the fields in the message. Okay, so with this, Krishna, you can take over and show us demo. Yeah.
Thank you, Srini.
Yeah.
Check the screen again. So I saw a few questions in the chat. So mainly related to data privacy, first one. So data privacy, we have generative AI in document understanding and then autopilot everywhere. So we have AI trust layer from UiPath. So this same AI trust layer will also be part of communications mining to ensure data leaks and data security. And then next point to regarding the license, communications mining license. So when you upload your data set, at that time, it will consume one AI unit for each message. So and later, based on the consumption and based on the new messages that are coming into communications mining, the AI units consumption happens. So that's how license consumption happens. So these are the few important questions from chat. So communication. So initially, you go to orchestrator, and if you don't have communications mining, you have to go to services and then enable communications mining. And then once you enable there, you will see communications mining in the left side tab, like I see here. Click on that. And the source, as I mentioned before, so communications mining requires you have to ingest your database or email box first, right? So I cannot ingest any email box now. So instead of that, you can upload your own data source. That can be a CSV. So I prepared a CSV, and this CSV is related to device issues. So this data set is related to device issues. So assume this as a mailbox and each row as a email. So customer name, customer email, which product he purchased, and then because whenever he's having issues, he's sending an email to support team or any team, and he writes message email subject as this issue is related to network, and then he'll write what exactly the issue that he's facing. The same goes for all the mails. So this assume this as a mailbox, and then as I told, like each row as a mail message. From here you can see like so these are the entities I'll show in the when I upload. So this is my data set, and I'm going to ingest these to communications mining. So firstly, this is how communications planning dashboard looks like. So you'll see all your existing projects, and then if you click here, it will create a new data set. So new data set as in a new project. So one data set for one email box, assume it like that. So data set has to be one, and then data sources can be more. So for example, device issues data set will be one, but data for that data set, you can ingest multiple data sources. How do you? So for that, you have to create data source first. So how do you do that? You click on gear symbol, and here you create the data sources. So this tab is called administration tab, as you see here. So here you'll see sources, integrations, and if you want to integrate, then I mean, if you want to integrate your mailbox or something, then you can do the integration, and you can connect with your application. So I'm uploading manually now. So for that, you have to click on new source, and then select the project, name your database, for example, device issues TS. If it is data source, then it will write API name automatically. Click on continue. If you want to use any storage bucket, then you can select that bucket, or else you can click on continue. Then you can click on create source. So once you click on create source, it will start creating a source. So I have my limit got I mean, my limit is done because I've already created one. So once you click there, this message will appear. I mean, this tab will appear. The empty data source. So for this, we have to upload the CSV. So this CSV I've already uploaded. I'll show you. So once you click on that upload file, select file, select the issues, and then once you select the dataset, it will automatically uh, upload that. I mean, if your dataset is more, then it will take some time. Else, it will be quick to upload. Then you have to map initially. So message ID column. From this, you have to map the ID. So how you uniquely identify this message? So you'll identify that by message ID. So for me, it is ticket ID. So you have to, it will automatically read everything, and then it will keep that this column structure here in the dataset itself. So once you click here, you will see all the columns that you uploaded. So you can select ticket ID for message ID. A message column. So message as in the actual description of the message. Let's say email body of the email. So my email body is here. That is ticket description. So for that, you have to select ticket description. If the message is in HTML, then you can toggle this. You can select the timestamp column. So for me, timestamp will be date of purchase. And then in subject of the message, that will be get subject. So these are nothing but these columns. That's what you see here. So by that, you can select everything, like for send email, like it keeps customer email to email. So like this, you can select. So until here is enough for now. So I've selected all those and click on upload. So once click on upload, the dataset will be uploaded. So I uploaded these 100. If I upload again, if you see here, for each message created, it will charge 1 AI unit. So I don't want to consume more AI units. So go back. So this already have 100 rows. So for time being, just taken 100 rows. You see here. So 100 rows as in 100 emails. So now our data source is created. So as I told before, data sources can be many, but all these data sets, I mean, for data set should be one. So data set will be single project. So for that single project, you can link multiple data sources. Okay, so now we created data sources. Let's create a new data set. So I've created one here already, but I'll show you the steps and then I'll open this. So you have to, once you're done with data sources, you have to create a new data set. Click on new data set, type your name. For example, my data set will be related to device issues. That is data set. I can name it accordingly. And then I give the PN accordingly. And then for project, it's my sandbox. So I'm selecting mine. And then you can see here, generative AI features. So if you don't toggle this, you will not get this guided training experience. And one you have to label most of the messages. You have to manually label. But if you enable this, if you label few, a generative AI will help in the behind to label rest of them. So it's always very enable this generative AI features. Next, you have to select the source. As I told before, so data set will be one. You can select many data sources. So I can select these two. These two are not related, but if they are related, you can select multiple data sources. So select this, and then language will be English. Click on next. If you already have your taxonomy, like your labels and fields and everything, then you can click on import labels and then copy from the spreadsheet or import a data set. Don't have any, so just click on next. So here, additional settings, these are like to identify the tone. If you enable this, it will identify the tone, um, how positive the message is and how negative the message is. I saw a question from chat like if message is malicious or if it is a spam, like how do we identify? So for that, you can maybe enable tone analysis and then label sentiment to identify like positive or negative emails. And then by that, you can maybe if it is negative, then directly ignore that email. So once you select this, you click on create. So I've already done that. So this is that's it. So once you click hit on that, when create, it will open the dataset. It will automatically open the dataset. But initially, you'll see nothing. So everything will be empty. So this score will also be 0. And as I told before, like if your dataset is huge, so these are the different phases that I was talking about before in the PT. So train, discover, explain, validation reports, model stream settings, etc. So these are the different dashboard elements for communications mining. So it starts with discover. So if your data set is huge, I mean, your data set samples are enough. I mean, if they are like enough, then you'll see clusters forming here automatically. For me, we uploaded only 100 rows, right? So the data set contains only 100 rows. So that's why you're not seeing any clusters here. But if your data set is huge, then you will see all, for example, if you see here, we have network related issues, device performance related issues, software related issues, hardware related issues. So these related issues, it will automatically give you clusters, all hardware related into one cluster, software related into one cluster, network related into one cluster, like that. So and that by that you can select that cluster and then you can uh, add labels at once for all of them. So you use discover phase, next explore phase. So once you mass label there in discover phase, then next stage will be explore stage. So here you will you'll see all the messages in here. I mean in this section. For each of the message, you manually label them. So if you see here, I'm manually labeled for few. I'll take new ones. So I mean this section is used to filter. I mean if you want to train labels, then you can click on teach, and then that will show you the new ones. So as I told before, like initially when you upload, you will see nothing, but you label few. You label few. For example, these are the ones which I manually labeled. So if you over here, it will show like annotated by a human. So I manually labeled this. So I labeled this few, and then background, like if you see here, this updated one, this will start loading, and then that will give you suggestions. Let's say I manually labeled this. Then the next will be, if I click on teach, so next ones will look like this. So it will give you suggestions. These are not labeled by human, but this is suggestion given by generative AI. For example, by this I have to read. If I assume I am a subject matter expert for this this entire data set. Assume I am a subject matter expert, so I should know what exactly this message means. So by studying this is related to some printer, and then for that printer, Bluetooth accessories are not working. So I manually label them like it is device, and then which device it is for printer. So since I have labeled few, that's why it is showing sessions. If you're doing for the first time, it will not give you anything. So for printer, and then it is issues related to Bluetooth. I'm using this symbol to make it like a tree structure. So this hierarchy, to represent the hierarchy, I'm using this symbol. Device, symbol, like this will be the main section, the parent label, and then under that you have the child label, and under that you have the main label. So this is the entire labeling. So right again, small device, printer, and then let's call it Bluetooth issue. Then click on enter. Click on enter, or you can click on this. That will label the message. If you want to delete this, you can just click on remove label. I mean here, that will delete. So once I started labeling, you see here. So you can see here, it started. So based on this labeling, in the background, it'll try to identify the rest of the messages. If it is able to identify that, then it'll automatically give you the suggestions like this. So this will take a time. It will take something that's why I manually uploaded before itself to show at least good rating. So before, if you remember, we had 55 as our rating. So now, since I just labeled one, I started label for one message, and that itself improved the score to 55. Let's go back again and then label a few more. So for this one, I can see this is related to Samsung mobile phone, and then this is again related to Bluetooth issue. So previously I mentioned Bluetooth issue, but that is for router, laptop, and then printer. But mobile I didn't do. So says like 17%, 19%, and then 50%. 50% because this is definitely a device. So you can select this one. It is true, but it didn't identify the proper intent, proper concept. So for that, you can add. If I add device again, it will automatically overlap the existing one. So device, and then that is mobile, and then under mobile, the issue is related to Bluetooth. Issue. Previously, I clicked on device, right? So it just directly overlapped the device, the previous label. That this is again related to printer. Then printer related Bluetooth. So I already had this. So select this. And then click on label. So here you can see it identified all the labels correctly. So you can see like this is, it says 180% confident that it is related to device, and then it is related to laptop, and then this have a audio issue. So these are the ones which selections given by model itself, not it's not annotated by me. So I can directly check this, and then I can click on all these three. So these three are correct. Related device issue, audio issue. So these two are enough for this. So likewise, you label all of them, like enough of them to get proper suggestions, and then you go to validation, and then you can see the model rating increased. So I think so we had different varieties, so that's why again the rating got increased. So I have to increase. If you have to increase more, then you have to keep on doing the labeling, at least in the initial phase. So it will take some time. Like this rating will take some time. So let's go to the next thing. So validations here, as I told before, so this is your model rating for now. So this is better to have like at least average rating. So for me, the data itself is 100. I mean, there's just like 100 rows. So that's why it is already poor. It's better to have average all the time. So that like it'll be a good model if you have at least average rating. So if you scroll down a bit, so this is your taxonomy now. So this is your these all your categories of labels, and here you can see the suggestions. As if you remember, like I told in the PPT, like it will give you the suggestions for it will review and then it will give you the suggestions. So like if you go down here, it is telling review predictions for device mobile. So if you click on that, it will directly go to export phase and then it will identify that related labels, and then you can just label them. So it is related to device mobile, and then it's related to device mobile screen. Yes, then you can just click on that. So this will be the label. So if you do the suggestions that validations is giving, that will increase the model rating further. Second, related to device mobile, and it is related to overheating. So device, so I have already selected device overheat issue. Let's select. This might be like I mean, I find messages that directly lead to automation. So for sample, I've uploaded this. In your case, so these messages can be your email box messages related to SAP maybe. There you can see like, so here I have only one entity. There you can have SAP entity, SAP username, SAP old password. So based on that, you label them, and then this label is used to triage the automations. I'll show you like why are we labeling, and then what is this use of list, or what is the exact use of this label. I'll show you in the studio section. Okay, so we labeled enough. Let's go to validation. It's still updating. When this update is done, maybe my rating will be improved. As I showed, so I already told you, like you have to just follow the recommendations given by Communications Mining. That will improve your rating. So next section is reports. So whatever you labeled and whatever you add the fields, so for all those it will give you a tree map. So to identify all the categories related to that data set. For example, these are my all categories. So main category is device. So I click on that. So under device, I have laptop, printer, router, camera, mobile, other. So these are my subcategories. So that will be my parent child. Device will be my parent child. And with that, I have laptop, select sub child labels, click on laptop, and then we have the issues related to laptop. Go back. Printer. I have issues related to printer. So what we can do? So these labels at the end. For example, if you have to run for all Bluetooth issues, you have to move that mails to some separate box, right? So you can use this label to run an automation. I'll show you. It's not. It will not be. It will be more confusing if I now. So reports, you can see dashboard here. I call this will be assume this like a overview of your training of your data set. So everything related to your training, your labels, your fields will be visible here. This will be helpful to further label your data. Show you the trends. Threads will be like if your single email have multiple messages, so that will be one single thread. That's it's called thread. So we can have that also. Then you can see the graph, like which date you received how many emails. So this is identified based on the timestamp. So I've given date of purchase as my date, right? So this graph has been generated by that. And you can also see volume trends and different type of reports you can see here. Next one is model. So every time when I'm doing something, right, when I'm labeling or something, so this is getting updated, right? So that when each time when model runs in the behind, it will automatically update the version. It will automatically upgrade its version. So for example, if I have 38 now, if I do further labeling and then further mapping of fields, then this version will further increase. It will start loading and then it will start training by itself, and then it will create a new model. So the current version is 38. So next, the important part is streams. So so far we got the data, we labeled them. Now we have labels. We have final labels. For example, if you go to here, if you need a label related to overheat, let's take one. So for example, label message related to internet issue. Assume this as a single verbatim or message. So you have this now. So what do we do with this? So in streams are nothing but triggers. So in automation, I mean in orchestrator, we have triggers, right? So for communications mining, streams are the triggers. So you create a stream here, for example. So you can create a new stream, name something like internet related issues for devices, maybe. You can name it as anything. So, and that will create a API name also, and you have to select the model version also. And so once you select all those, a stream will be created. So for me, I don't have enough data. If I have enough data and then if I have enough model rating, my model version would have appeared here. So once you select that model, you can give labels to the stream. So for example, all labels related to internet issues, you can assign that to streams. So all related for this stream, if I call it as internet issue stream, and then if I select the model name, model version, and then if I select internet issue label, like device, mobile, and then internet issue. If I select that label, all messages related to that label will appear in this stream, right? So if I create that stream, all the messages related to that stream with that label will appear in that stream. So far, I think it is clear. I'll keep it like that. I'll explain once we go to studio. So at the end, we'll have streams, and then so we created a stream. Let's name it properly. Let's name it like internet issue stream. It's related to mobile internet issue related stream. So this stream contains all the mobile internet related issues. So I will not have anything under model for now because my model is not yet trained well. So if I had, I'll have that version, and then I have to select that label, the label which I showed you, mobile, device, mobile, and internet issue. That label I'll select. I will pick. So this stream will have all the labels related to internet issue layer, right? Okay. I'll show you like how exactly that will be used in triggering the automations. So far we created streams. Next is settings. So before, as you identify, I mean, as you check, like we just labeled, but then we didn't identify I mean, I didn't show you the part where I added the entities or general fields. So general fields, you have to go to settings, then there will be a separate section called taxonomy, and then here you can see all the labels and general fields. So you can see labels and extraction fields here, and then if you click on general fields, so these are the general fields. So if you want to create one, you can create. Click on device name. Click on create new. Select right device name. General field type. So this general field type is nothing but the field name itself, because so device name, that name will be common for all the messages, right? So that's why you have to give same name again. And then for this device name, general field, you for this name, for example, if you give device name, right, device name again, you have to write device name again, and for this you have to tag string, and then click on save. That's how you create a general field. So it will store like this, and then next you have to identify the fields, right, in the messages. So I'll remove this to show as an example. So this is how it looks as as a plain message. So you just drag over the uh, field as Srini mentioned. So you should not select like this partially, or you should not keep until here. You should properly select end to end, identify the entity, and then you can click on device name or you can hit D. So this is shortcut to mark it as device name. So if you just click on D, it will identify it as device name. So that's how you create your general fields. So in the data set, you can see taxonomy, we spoke about general fields. So that's how you upload, connect your mailbox or upload your data, and then prime, and then create validation, and then create a stream. So far we created a stream, right? As I previously mentioned, so this stream will contain all the messages related to mobile internet issue. So now what we have to do, if a new message comes with mobile internet issue, an automation should start, and that automation will be something related to either it will move that email, or either raise a ticket to an external team. So that can be anything. Our agenda is to trigger an automation when a mail comes, right? So now we go to UiPath Studio. For communications mining, UiPath already released um, dispatcher, communications mining dispatcher. So you can go to home, you can go to templates, and then here you can search for communications mining dispatcher platform. I think I'll search for dispatcher. Yeah, this one. So you can just click on that, and then it will open the communications mining dispatcher. So this is just like an RE framework, but just related to communications mining. So instead of transaction data, you'll have streams here. So I don't want to confuse with dispatcher. Next. So once you have the open the communications mining dispatcher, it will install the dependencies. So if you don't want dispatcher and you just want to get the stream results and then do your automation, then you can can go to manage packages, and then install communications mining activities, and then that will give you the activities related to communications mining. So main ones are these: advanced stream, create record, fetch batch stream. So these are legacy ones, the old ones, fetch batch stream, and then there'll be one more for advanced stream. So for new one for fetch batch stream activities, the stream results. So you can use that. So I've used here already. And so my project name in communications mining was 547 sandbox. So I've selected that. Dataset name was device issues. And then stream name I created was this one, internet issue. So name that. So by this, if I use that, if I use get stream results, all the messages that the stream contains will be shown here. So next, so go to properties, and then you have to store this result in create a new variable, or else you can store here. So I'll store that result in fetch response, and this response will contain all the results. So for that, you have to loop. So fetch response dot results. This will contain each email, and then for each email, you can process that each email. So now let's see how we use the labels. So here we named this as this particular label, right? So device, mobile, something, etc. So for example, this is the label that we named for this message. So we go to Studio. For each of these results, we use an if condition. From this current stream result, see here, what comment, we'll see different options. So from this, you will get the label, and then you just check like to string contains, then you'll keep this label. Keep this label. So if that result contains this label, then what will you do? We'll just add a queue item. So if you are aware of, I mean, in general, like how you will enable, if you want to start an automation, example, let's go to orchestrator. Let's say we have a process called issues related to internet, I mean, mobile devices internet issue. So it will raise a ticket. Assume that is your automation. So if you want to start that automation, what will you do? I mean, it is not scheduled, but it has to start whenever there is a new message. So in general, what we'll do, we'll create a queue trigger, and then whenever there is a new message, we'll use a dispatcher to add that message, I mean, to identify that message, and then add a new queue item to that queue trigger, and that queue trigger will start the process, right? In similar way, if you have this label, if that uh, this stream result dot comment, I mean, each stream result is nothing but your mail message. So if that contains this label, device, camera, or it issue, then we'll add a queue item, add a queue item to that particular queue trigger, uh, process queue trigger, which starts the ticket raising of internet issue. So we'll add this queue item to that queue, and that will start the automation. So that's how you automate end to end without any interference in between. And similar way, I mean, from here, you can, if you want, you can add, I mean, you can get the entities for that result, I mean, for that message, and then you can use that entities to your automation. And then if you think like there is a attachment, and then that attachment is again unstructured, I saw this question in the chat, you can get the attachment, like you can just dot attachment will give you the attachments, and then for each attachment you can fetch that attachment and upload that to document understanding to identify if it is an invoice, then identify required fields from that invoice, and then further process. So that's how you that's what communications mining is all about. So like you connect, you label, mass label here, you label in between individual labels, you do it in Explore. By that it will generate the model, and then in validation you can see the model rating, and by that you can retrain your model again, retrain your labels again, and then you can see entire labels overview in the reports, and then you'll see I labeled few before, so before it was 38 and then now it was 40. Model will keep on training by itself, and then you create streams to triage automations, and then automation will look like this. So that's all about communications mining. Thank you for your time. If you have any questions, you can.
Hey, let's see if we have any questions. We can take, I think, 5 minutes for live Q&A if there are any questions. There were certainly a lot of questions in the chat, and there are still many coming. So please raise your hand if you want to ask a question, and I will enable the unmute function now. Okay, Jakub, if you want to ask live, please raise your hand and ask live, if possible. Okay. Hello, Jakub.
Hi, I'm asking during all the questions. the sessions. I mean, what starts the dispatcher robot? Because you showed us we are connecting the activities in the dispatcher with the stream, but what starts, and then we can provide some information to different robots thanks to the queue. But what starts the dispatcher? Should we keep it running all the time, or could it be started by anything else?
Dispatcher will depend on your streams. For example, if you think every month beginning you'll receive a bunch of emails, then you can schedule your dispatcher in the beginning of the month. So it will be like that. So whenever data comes up, I mean data feeds, whenever you think there will be huge data feed to the communications mining or in your email box, so at that time you can start your dispatcher, communications mining dispatcher.
Okay, thank you for that. I see there is another question on minimum data set, but I think Srini will probably answer that in the chat. A lot of great feedback on the presentation. Do we have any other question for live Q&A? For Srini or for Krishna? Raise your hand. Or you can raise your hand as well if you have at this point any program related questions, since we did offer you today the form for to register for certification. And this is our very last session, so maybe this is high time for you to ask the questions about the next phase, if any, and we get them also onto the recording, and we have a clear view of what is about to happen. What are the next steps?
Hello, Christina. On Mayank this side. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, Christina, just a question on this communications mining only. Say in a case wherein we are having a email message having two different intents, can be an action that involves, say, say if there is a PO order request and if there is any updation required. Along with it, there is another intent wherein a follow-up mail or a meeting is required, right? So if there are two different intents defined within the same mail, how that can be handled within a communication mining? So will the labeling be done for only one intent at a time, or will it be taking both the intents, labeling it all together, and then further actions can be taken?
I think like if you have multiple intents in same message, I think it will be harder to, I mean, it will become harder to get trained based on that multiple session, I mean, multiple intents. What we can try is we can label both, we can add both labels, but this message will appear in both the labels. So when you create a stream for that label, for example, you mark it as PO, that will be one label, and then you mark it as like something else also. Once you create streams for these labels, this message will appear in both the streams. So there you have to handle maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, if there are no other questions, I know this was like a pretty dense session. And a lot of engagement in the chat. So thank you very much, Srini and Krishna, for handling that too in the chat. I just want to take a moment to thank you all for making it so far and staying with us throughout these 4 weeks for the AI series. I hope this was as good of a journey for you as it was for us to go along with you on this training journey, and I hope you enjoyed it and you found it useful. I hope you can see your next path from here, and that you find your skills learned from this series, so that you can really see what is the next step, and you are willing to move ahead from here on. I know it was like a very dedicated time from our mentors and training, so the effort was incredible on their side as well. It was all about getting the curricula through to you, getting it in a quality manner, quality sessions, and with people who were there to advise you at each step of the way. And I hope you found this support whenever you needed. And you still have the support ongoing on forum, so the forum thread will not be closed. You can still access it for support and tag your mentors there. And we thank you for the engagement on forum as well. And as for the next step, I will just share with you one more time the bit.ly link for our for the certification path. Let's I will share it in the chat, and just to make sure everyone understands, this on this page, so this will practically be an event page, your certification path registration. All you have to do is click RSVP and complete the registration form for what appears to be an event. After that, you don't have to do anything. So there will be no event to join. You don't need to do any other thing. You will also find this caption here. Please note that after event registration form is completed, there is no further need to add the event to your calendar. Everything you need is on this page, the deadlines, the timeline, and everything we need from you, the details to do the cross checks and to make sure you go from one step to the other, will be on this registration form. So let's just share this again with you here. Just give me one moment, please. Take it from the chat. So we will have it now in the Zoom. There you go. You will find it in the wrap-up email. Again, you will find it on the UiPath forum thread. You will find it on the initial program page as well. And please remember, try to complete this form as soon as possible, or anyway, the form will end, so it will close on November 17th. So you have until then to complete the form, and November 15th will be the deadline for your Academy learning plan in UiPath Academy for Specialized AI Associate. In the form, you will also find the question about progress. Please be truthful to that. I mean, it will help us a lot if you would answer truthfully about the progress, because we also need some feedback and to see how exactly the program went with this parallel academy learning plan, which you all need for certification. So it was not something that we could have excluded from the learning curricula. And yes, thank you once more. We'll be waiting for your feedback. You have also a feedback session in the form, and I'm very glad to have been able to be here with you as well as my colleagues. And I would please ask my colleagues now to open their cameras because they helped a lot on this series as well. Andrea, Diana, I don't know whether Anna is still with us. So yes, this was a team effort from UiPath Community, from the UiPath MVPs worldwide in order to deliver this program to you. And we're very happy to have been able to. Andrea, Diana, would you like to say anything?
Thank you for your presence. Diana, you're on mute, and I'm taking advantage of that. Thank you all for your presence, and good luck in your journey. We hope to see as many of you with certifications, bragging on LinkedIn or wherever. Tag us, tag the mentors, tag your colleagues, tag everyone. And we hope to also see you in other events as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you should be very excited that you're part of this new curriculum that has come out to support this new certification. So this makes you kind of outstanding in the field to go after it quickly. We're excited you guys joined us and stayed through to the end. Amazing. Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a great reminder of the week, and we'll see each other soon on forum, I bet. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.